So our promise to the community is that we won't have random loot boxes or pay-to-win scenarios.
Yeah.
Liar! Liars! Listen. Liar!
Hey, what it do? Make that like button blue. Sub if you new. Hey, what it do? Make that like button blue. Sub if you new.
Hello, salutations. What it do? It's Start the Gamer, all father the Do-Rag Gang. You know the vibes, like to subscribe, let's get it. And today I'm going over the absolute craziness that happened in the Marvel's Avengers community. If you were following the live stream that I did yesterday, I reacted in real time to the reveal that Crystal Dynamics had in fact finally done it. They lied, obviously. They rolled out the paid consumables. If you've been following me, you know this is definitely something that I predicted what happened. A lot of people that were saying this is what they were going to do were called conspiracy theorists and haters, but looks like we got the last laugh. But unfortunately, if you've been a fan of this game, you can try to, you know, laugh about it. I've been making a lot of memes. Follow me on Twitter, Sadat the Gamer, if you want to check out my coverage. It's been pretty amusing. I just didn't even have the energy to get mad about it because, again, I knew this was coming. At this point, I think it's just kind of sad. So I'm just going to go over the craziness for those that may have missed it or who don't understand the full context and why people are so angry and why this has been absolutely disastrous for Crystal Dynamics. So as you can see behind me, it did not go over well in the subreddit. People are pretty upset, pretty vocal. They're memeing. as you know, that's how this stuff works. People are saying that they are going to leave the game. They are pointing out the hypocrisy and how Crystal Dynamics directly stated they weren't going to do this, and then they did this. Someone actually posted in the Xbox One subreddit, which has a lot more followers than the Play Avengers one, giving them a complete breakdown of what exactly Marvel's Avengers just did with the paid consumables and why it's bad. They did it as a heads up, as you see from the title, for the new players on Xbox Game Pass. As you know, this game was rolled out on Xbox Game Pass last week, and it is definitely not a coincidence that the week after we got the paid consumables. At this point, a lot of people have weighed in across the community. You had Lejeune post a very angry video. You had High Ruler straight up quit the game, at least for now. He canceled his stream and he said he's not playing Marvel's Avengers anymore until they get a handle on this. We heard from Tricks Ridiculous. Tony Bing is working on a video. Everyone has weighed in on this, and the consensus here so far has been this was a massive L for the game. Of course, there have been some people who I'm not going to, you know, name specifically, but they decided that they would rather not risk Crystal Dynamics not sending them any more free gear. So they've been kind of playing defense on behalf of Crystal Dynamics, who themselves have not issued a statement. They went completely radio silent and have not responded at all, which is to be expected. But I will say, I will not knock anybody for their decision making. If you decide that you don't want to play the game anymore, that's fine. Do that. If you want to keep playing because it's still fun for you, that's fine too. If you have a problem with this, I encourage you to vote with your wallet. In that case, don't spend money in the marketplace. You're fine with all this, by all means, do what you want. But I will say, and I will push back on the outright gaslighting that I started seeing. This was a lie, point blank, period. I understand this was a lie that probably came as a result of the people up top, probably from Square Enix, saying, hey, we want paid consumables in this game. I don't care what y'all said, make it happen, which puts Crystal Dynamics in an impossible position because it is their job to do what Square Enix wants them to do. So don't go after Andy and Layla and Phil. They have no power here. They're just the mouthpieces. Their job as community representatives is to essentially make the game look good. And yes, insert your jokes here, how they're not doing a very good job of it. But essentially, it is their job to lie. That's part of PR. Their job is to lie when the occasion calls for it on behalf of the company, which is why you hope that the higher ups have some integrity. But if the higher ups make them say one thing and then decide to do the opposite later on, that makes Crystal Dynamics look bad. But I would advise you to spread the blame around and do not harass Andy, Layla, or any individual dev because they have no power here. But to give you a brief summary of how this all started, back in February, they announced that they were going to be implementing changes to XP so that players wouldn't be so overwhelmed by all the choices. You know, there were just so many choices that they had when they were leveling up their XP. So they had to make these changes to XP in order to make it easier for players to process the skill points they were getting, because obviously to Crystal Dynamics, according to that post, they're not smart enough to pause the game and look at the skills that are available and decide where they wanted to put their points. So they decided to slow the whole thing down for everybody so that new players wouldn't be overwhelmed. At the time, obviously people were like, this is obviously nonsense. What are you talking about? No one is saying this. Why are you lying? And they did a lot of clarification, and ultimately the update rolled out in March. XP was nerfed, but nothing else came with it. And the XP nerf wasn't, you know, a massive deal. It obviously slowed down the leveling up process, but later on people found the up from the depth farm and it wasn't that big of a deal. So people just kind of forgot about it because, you know, nothing came of it until they rolled out the Heroes Catalyst. And that's when the light bulb switched on in my head. I'm like, oh, this was their plan all along. They wanted to nerf XP because they plan to roll out these XP boosters that they will eventually sell. Now, obviously at the time they said they were free. They were given away for free. In the secret content creator meeting, they were asked directly if they were going to be charging for these consumables. And they said directly in response to that question, we are, quote, going to be giving them away for free and exploring ways to make them earnable in game. That was their direct quote. Combine that with them saying before that they were only going to be charging for cosmetics, and you had the defenders saying, oh yeah, well, there you go. It's a conspiracy theory to say that they're selling consumables. It's not happening. Well, common sense, because I understand business and I understand corporate speak when I see it, I'm like, no, they're gonna be doing it. And of course I was right, because they rolled it out slowly. First they started giving away for free. You got the epics for free. Then they stopped giving away the epics. They started giving you the greens for free, which lasts for 2 hours. The epics, the purple ones, last for 3 days. Then they started throwing in the consumables with the bundles that they started rolling out. And that's when it became really obvious what they were doing. They could try to say, oh no, we're not selling consumables. You're buying the bundle of skins. The consumable comes with it, but it's not directly. But I'm like, it's only a matter of time at that point. They also at this time introduced fragment extractors, which allow you to collect more fragments. At the time and currently it's completely useless, but they said on the roadmap, they're planning to rework resources to make fragments a lot more important. So common sense dictates that because fragment extractors are now being sold in the marketplace, they are planning to do something with fragments that make you want to buy them. Look out for that in the coming months, because it's going to happen unless they take all this backlash in reverse course, which personally I doubt, but we'll see. Then of course the game was announced on Game Pass last week. Bunch of new Xbox players. 20 million people are on Game Pass, so got a bunch of new players into the game on Xbox, and to celebrate, they gave them the quadruple XP weekend, but that was also part of their plan. You get the new players from Xbox, get them hooked on fast XP gains. They're getting all this skill points, all this confusion, you know, no concern about confusion now. You know, no, that's not a problem now. No, just all these confused players coming into the game from Game Pass, getting quadruple XP, just buried in skill points. And then you got the Heroes Catalyst on top of that for free. They're like, oh, they stack too, so I can get 5 times XP. Oh no, I'm so confused now. And then of course this week, the first reset after they do the quadruple XP bonus for the new players, they take it all away so that if you want to see some more XP gains, you got to pay for it. Because as any good drug dealer will tell you, first one's free. Now, if you want some more of that sweet, sweet confusion, you got to pay for it. $5 for 1 week of XP gains, $2.50 for 3 days, $1 for 1 day, and the green one, 2 hours, is currently still free. And the fragment extractor is also $2.50. So they, in fact, did lie. They intentionally were going to do this XP booster thing all along. This was just all a slow rollout plan to smoothly put it in the marketplace. And as soon as it hit, predictably, radio silence. They usually do a blog where they talk about, what's new. They do an interview with a community member or a dev. They talk about what they're working on. They talk about what's in the marketplace. They skipped that this week. They didn't tweet about anything. They have a new outfit set that they rolled out. Didn't talk about that either. Complete radio silence, no statements. As of recording this, we have not heard from them at all. If I were a betting man, I'd say the dev stream is going to be canceled as well. If it's not, it's going to be must-see TV. And I'll definitely be covering it because it's going to be hilarious. But for now, I'm under the assumption the dev stream is canceled again, and we're not going to be hearing from them for quite a while. So that is the situation. What you do from here is up to you. I'm just here to give you the information. If you want to play the game, fine. If you want to quit the game, fine. If you want to boycott the marketplace, fine. Just don't lie to people. All right. I'm Stott the Gamer, signing out.